Troy?
Hey, Coach Auriemma, this is Troy Hutchison, All Sports Tucson. So obviously you've had time to look at film on Arizona by now. What have you seen out of Arizona that maybe creates a problem, or what you've seen offensively for them?
Well, any team that plays in the Final Four causes problems for the other team they're playing. And Arizona, I think, is a perfect example of a team that, really understands who they are. They really, they know what their identity is. They know defensively what they can do, what they want to do, how to do it. They're aggressive. They just play so hard, and they're so competitive. They're swarming. I mean, I was really, really impressed on the defensive end, how hard they work, and how difficult they make getting open shots. The offensive end, when you have such a dynamic guard like Ari McDonald, that draws so much attention and can make everybody around them better. And playing the way she's playing right now, I can speak firsthand because Paige does that for our team. The other players just play with so much confidence. They shoot the ball with confidence. They just, play with a sense of calmness on offense. And they get the shot that they want. They're a really, 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 really solid basketball team. The kind that you're going to have to grind it out. If you want to beat them, you're going to have to grind it out for 40 minutes. That's evident in every film that I've watched of them play.
Thank you, Troy, for the question. We're now going to go to Doug Feinberg from the Associated Press. Doug?
Hey, Coach. Doug Feinberg, the Associated Press.
Hey.
So you've been to so many Final Fours, 13 in a row. This one is obviously different since you've been here for 3 weeks already, or your team has since you missed the first week. Does it feel like a Final Four still? I know there's only 4 teams left, but does it feel similar to the other ones when there's no salute dinner, there's none of the other pomp that usually you're used to? Does this feel similar or different in a lot of aspects to the previous ones?
I think a little bit of both, Doug. Believe me, there are a lot of things that happen at the Final Four that you can do without. And, I don't miss those things one bit. You have more time to prepare your team, that's for sure, which rarely happens. When you think about it, most of the other Final Fours, the way they are now, it's so unfair to the team that plays Tuesday night. A team plays Tuesday night, they get on a plane, they've got to fly someplace, they're there Wednesday, they get 1 day to prepare, and then they play Friday night. So it's so unfair. And it's unfair to the team that plays on Monday night because it's such a shortened amount of time that you have to actually prepare. So in that respect, there's been more time for the teams to kind of get their breath, settle in, and kind of just stay in the routine that they were in. So in that sense, it doesn't feel like, you're flying in and all the hoopla of the Final Four. When the teams won Monday or Tuesday and they went back to the hotel, there wasn't 1,000 boosters there waiting there and hats and everybody celebrating and, hey, let's go out to dinner and have a couple, drinks and whatever. It was Where's our box lunch? So obviously it's different. But from a purely basketball standpoint, I think that's the same. You know, you have to win 2 games to win a national championship, and the players know that, and all the coaches know that. So in that respect, it's the same.
Thanks, Coach.
Our next question will be from Michelle Smith, Pac12.com. Michelle?
Hi, Geno.
Hi.
Along the line of what Doug was asking, the opposing team, a new team to the Final Four, there's a lot of stuff that usually goes on. Adi is going to have more time to prepare for this game against your team than she might have as a first-time Final Four entrant. Do you think that factors into how the game goes Friday night? Probably.
And I think the other thing that factors in is you do have a lot of time in that town to sit around, so it could go the other way too. You know, you've been like stationary the whole time, so there's pluses and minuses to it. You know, when you look on the men's side, they finish playing their games on Sunday, and then they have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then they play Saturday in the most important game of the year. So they probably go home Monday, Tuesday, and probably Wednesday, you know, and then come to the Final Four. So you know, right now, Arizona's missing all that. And that, I think, can be a benefit. I always thought, you know, there's, for better or worse, Michelle, you know, there's a lot of hoopla that surrounds our program. You know, our kids are used to dealing with, you know, we call it the circuses in town, you know. Uh-huh. So when we get to the Final Four, it's like everything else we do a lot of times during the year. But for some teams, you know, when they fly in and they land and they see and the signs and the TV and everything the way it's set up and the bigness, how big everything is, how long the media is, how much attention from the media, how many photo shoots, and it distracts kids, and it becomes maybe more about everything but the game. So I think Arizona is going to benefit a little bit from. I mean, don't get me wrong; those kids are missing out on a lot of fun, but I think they're going to benefit from not having to go through all that.
Thank you, Michelle. The next question will come from Kurt Burmester, TSN. Kurt?
Coach, so I'm not going to make you revisit the last play of the game against Baylor, but since then there's been a lot of talk of foul, non-foul, and Aaliyah, freshman, was right there. Have you had any conversations, or do you have a conversation with a freshman like that to help her just move on from that before you get to your next game?
Well, there were 2 of our players there, Aaliyah and Liv, from what I understand. From what I could see, there were 2 of our players there. And no, I just said, you know, hey, we made a great play. You know, we won. That's it. I mean, the thing you want to stress is all the time, throughout the year, this is a point of emphasis in everything that we do, is do not put yourself in a position where the officials are going to get to decide the game. So you keep reminding yourself that. You keep reminding your players that. Where the officials have to make a decision. And whether that decision is in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, or at the end of the game. So you try not to do that. That's why year in and year out, we foul less than any team in America, because we really, really, really harp on that. So it's, you know, this wasn't, you know, anything other than that. Reiterating that conversation.
Thank you, Kurt, for the question. Next question will come from Michelle Vopel, ESPN. Michelle?
Yeah, Coach Auriemma, I think you could go back decades, 2 decades, maybe at least, that the way UConn was playing was the way now we see being successful at the pro level. That there were things you guys did, the way you teach your kids to read and react and move. Do you, in other words, the game flowed up from college to the pros. I think it's very fair to say. Do you feel like the sport in general, with the way that we see it played in women's basketball, are you happier, or do you like the way that it's being played now by the best teams, both professionally and in college?
Yeah, Michelle, I really do. I always envisioned basketball as being a fluid sport where there was freedom of movement, and all 5 players were involved in the actual winning of the game, and that you didn't have specialists, so to speak. You know, it has evolved, obviously. I think us being the beneficiary of, you know, seeing what other people are doing. Like, for instance, the NBA is usually at the forefront of a lot of this stuff. And to me, the European Basketball League, men's European Basketball League anyway, because there's so many of them that have come over, they have brought a tremendous influence to the league. And the skill level of the players that have come over has transformed the game, where there are no longer differentiations between guards and forwards. And the skill level of American players, men and women, there's no differentiation anymore between that's a guard, that's a forward, that's a center. You've got players playing multiple positions who are just very, very good in the open floor. And through necessity, we had teams like that back in the day. You know, when we had to play like that because we didn't have the ability to play like this, you know, to pound it inside. I remember going to watch the old Louisiana Tech teams, the old Tennessee teams, you know, the old Old Dominion teams. And it was just bam, bam, bam. And they would just wear you out with their post game. And the defensive, you know, the physicality of the game. And we couldn't play like that because we didn't have those players. So, you know, I went in a different direction, and we had some success. And I think the NBA has trickled down, you know, to the WNBA and how many threes people are shooting, to college, how many threes people are shooting. So I think the game has taken on an international look rather than you know, wham, bam, you know, slug it out. That's why I wish they would move our line back to the men's line. I was so disappointed when they kept the line the way it is. So disappointed. Like 2 lines on the floor, please. Like another indication that what? We're not capable. I've got kids that were 12 in Europe coming over here and shoot it like it's a layup. But American kids can't. College kids can't. So I'm rooting for the day they move that line back, you know, and widen the lane so that they make the game even more free-flowing. It's free-flowing now, and it's beautiful now compared to what it was. And I think it's got so much more room to grow. And I hope the powers that be take advantage of, you know, those opportunities to make those changes.
Thank you, Michelle and Coach. We have time for a few more questions for Coach Auriemma. Jim Vertuno, Associated Press. Jim?
Yeah, Geno, as as poised as Paige is, it's still her first Final Four. Do you find that you say anything to freshmen to settle them in this moment?
Just the normal, more strategy stuff of how we want to approach the game, less about, where your head is. I feel like the less I bring it up, the less I put in there, the less they'll think about it. But kids are kids, We're treating Paige like, she's Luka Doncic and came over here and was MVP of the European League at 18 years old and now is playing with grown men. I mean, she's still a young kid who was playing against high school girls last year. So, yeah, this is big. And nothing that I say is going to change the bigness of it. I mean, it's big. And it's big to her. And I'm sure there's a part of her that, is anxious, nervous, all the things that you would be, if you were her in a game like this, in a scenario like this. But somehow, some way, she finds what all great players do. She finds that thing that she has inside of her that very few people have that allows her to function in those big moments. But, hey, I remember Diana Taurasi's freshman year, NCAA semifinal game. It was the worst game Diana ever played in her career. Ever. So even the best players in the world, they can have a bad game in a big moment. So you just keep your fingers crossed and hope that Paige continues to do what she's been doing.
Our next question will come from Sean McFarland. Please state your association, Sean.
Hey, Geno. Sean McFarland with the Hartford Courant. You said yesterday regarding Nika that you'll kind of see how she looks this morning when she wakes up and how everything's feeling with her. So I guess with that being said, how is she kind of feeling today and how's she been looking?
She said she feels good. We're getting ready to practice as soon as we finish with the media stuff. So we'll know more a little bit later. But it was encouraging that our medical staff said that, after doing a little bit yesterday, she looked, pretty good. And I'm hoping that after she does a little bit more today, she'll feel just as good, tomorrow morning when she wakes up. But we probably won't know for certain 100% until after shoot around tomorrow.
Thank you, Sean. Our final question will come from Cheryl Coward, Hoop Feed. Cheryl?
Cheryl Coward, Hoop Feed. Looking at Adia's trajectory as a head coach in the short time she's been in Arizona and the way she's turned around that program, do you see any parallels in what you did at UConn and anything that you resonate with? And also looking at the changing demographics of the Final Four this year with her and Dawn making history.
Yeah, I think there are some similarities. The program that I took over and the school that I started coaching at is nowhere near where Adia took over. But then again, the Big East Conference wasn't the Pac-12. So she went into a situation where they had not had success for a long time. And it's taken her, I think, is this her 5th year? If I'm not mistaken. If this is her 5th year at Arizona, then she's a year ahead of me. We went to the Final Four, I think, my 6th year at Connecticut. But they've shown that every year they're able to build on the year before and without compromising, who she is and what kind of player she's looking for and style of play. They're not changing every year trying to chase that newest thing, I think Adia knows who she is. She knows what she wants. She knows what she's looking for in a player. And, over a period of time, she's done it. And I've seen it done. Sherry Cole did the same thing at Oklahoma. Scott Ruick did the same thing at Oregon State. Quentin Hillsman did the same thing at Syracuse. You see it, and you can't help but be impressed because you know how much goes into it, and the changing demographics. I mean, that's been in the works a long time. I mean, there's been a lot of firsts in the last 10 years in the Final Four. A lot of firsts, a lot of first-time participants, a lot of first-time head coaches. In this case, Adia and Dawn, is a first. I don't think we've seen the end of that. I think this is just the beginning of, these young coaches who have played for older coaches who then take their spin on what they've learned, and as more schools provides resources for more schools, more coaches have the ability now to showcase their talent as a coach. So whatever you're seeing right now, I think is just the tip of the iceberg of what's coming. What's coming down the road. And I'm happy that we have a game where you can do that. Thrilled that we have a game where you can do that. Wherever you're picked in a preseason poll doesn't determine whether you make the Final Four or not. You still have to earn it throughout the season. You still have to play your way in. So I'm proud of all the coaches that are able to get here. I know how hard it is, but for young coaches like Adia and obviously for Dawn, who's been here before, Tara and I are, we're like the furniture, in the other side of the room. People just go, yeah, okay. But for these young coaches, I think it's magnificent.